It's green for go. They're racing.
He says go.
He says ta-da. And Tiger Tara roars away from them on the home turn.
Here comes another big boil over.
Equine athleticism at its best. The king is in the castle once more.
This is in one race. The rest are almost in another postcode. She is a star with a capital S.
It's going to be a triple treat, a miracle three-peat. Ladies and gentlemen, you have witnessed history here at Menangle. What about that?
It's getting right up on the sprint lane and it's going to bolt in.
Hello and welcome to another edition of the Sunday session. It is the 2nd of February. This is part of the Sprint Lane podcast for Harness Racing New South Wales. My name is Greg Hayes. Great to be with you again this week. A lot to unpack as well. Yes, we concentrate on harness racing in New South Wales on this podcast, but I also like to look at the locally trained horses performing on the national stage. So I will spend a large part of today's podcast reviewing last night's huge Hunter Cup meeting. First things first, Swayzee, Jason Grimson, Cam Hart. What a combination. I said for the last 2 weeks on this podcast, if I owned the horse, I would have been greedy. I would have been money hungry. I would have missed last night. Forget the Hunter Cup. Concentrate on the $1 million bonus in New South Wales with wins at Albury and Penrith in the next 6 weeks. Grimson said, why not win it all? Why not be a part of a great race? And he said it in an interview after the win last night. The best thing you can do when they're in the zone is to race them. Interesting to also hear, he put it on Cam to give him a comfortable run at Tamworth. And if he could do that, then they'd reassess once they got him home and think about the Hunter Cup. They might look from the outside to be racing's odd couple, and they obviously have had disagreements in the past, and Jack Callaghan's now the stable driver. But together, Grimson and Hart are a lethal combination. With Swayzee, they've now combined to win the Hunter Cup, the Victoria Cup, the New Zealand Cup twice, the Blacks of Fake at Group 1 level. The shortest of those events was the 2240 of the Victoria Cup. Last night's win over the 2760 was a mixture of horse trainer and driver. Grimson obviously had him ready to run the race. Cam drove him like an expert racing car driver who times his fuel usage to the second because he took the calculated risk of driving Swayzee out of his comfort zone mid-race, which meant spending petrol he didn't need to, but it ensured it took fuel out of his rivals and left them unable to reel him in late. In some races with Swayzee, it's been a bit of a sit and steer job, but last night Cam proved why he is one of the best drivers in the country. He drove a perfect race, and it meant a head victory at the finish. There was some talk last night about Swayzee heading towards the Miracle Mile in between Albury and Penrith. Surely not. That would be highly surprising. Grimson has given him 2 starts over the short trip since he's got him off the butts. His first start for the stable was over the 1730 at Bathurst, and then he competed in a short trip during the Queensland Inter-Dominion Series, which he had to. I didn't think he'd go to the Hunter Cup, and I was wrong. Just a great stayer look to target Australia's speed test. We'll find out a little bit later on the show. Of the beaten brigade, leap to fame. How brave was he? A few were critical of Grant's drive, especially on social media. I thought his drive was perfect. He got off at the start, which everyone said he would have to ease at the start and come around them. He didn't have to. He probably waited a little longer than I thought he would from behind Don Hugo. But once he got to the chair, he didn't go to war. He had to nurse leap to fame. Dixon knew how tough it was going to be in the final 800 metres of that race. He loomed. He was only narrowly beaten. You reverse the position, probably reverse the result. I think you do. He's still the best horse in the country, the best horse in the Southern Hemisphere. He didn't lose too many admirers on Saturday night. The Kiwis were good, which is great for the strength of New Zealand racing. And Republican Party wasn't too far away after racing 3 back on the pegs. He's a great stayer. He proved that at Auckland when he ran down Merlin. The Great Southern Star looks set to be won by New South Wales as well after the Locomotive obliterated the track record in the first heat and then drew barrier 2 in the final. I like the heat and final concept, but the barrier draw needs tweaking for the final, I think. There's no advantage for the heat winners over second place getters or third place getters, or for the lucky losers for that matter. It all comes down to when they are drawn out of the barrel as to when Connections get to pick their gate. The Locomotive was drawn out of the barrel second, so Connections drew barrier 2. The first horse out was Queen of Lighter. They drew barrier 1. Locomotive, second out, drew barrier 2. But had he been drawn out late, it would have ruined the horse's chances, and his effort in the heat obviously took its toll, and it showed in the final. But from a poorer draw, he couldn't have got close. Look, I think that needs tweaking, the barrier draw myself, but that's just a personal opinion. The Locomotive looked set to cling on in the final when it turned for home, but he started to get tired in the final 50 metres, and the New South Wales-owned What's Up Party Time, trained by New South Wales, was able to squeeze through and win. Now it won the second heat at huge odds and blew up the tote board, winning the final as well. Don't want to take anything away from What's Up Party Time. Congratulations to Andy and Kate. It's a great story. The strike rate that he has in the race is unbelievable. What I want to talk about is the Locomotive and his speed. He smashed the track record to bits in that first heat. The Europeans love speed horses. Maori Time was invited to Sweden off the back of her record-setting mile at Menangle. The speed he showed in that first heat was amazing. If he can come back to Menangle and run the hands off the clock, I wonder whether the Swedes would look to throw an invite towards the Locomotive for the Elite Lop. I know the talk is all about Kiyang Zahara, and she is going to be the Aussie trotting sensation in years to come, but for sheer speed, I wonder whether the Locomotive's efforts last night in the heat put him on the radar of the Swedish administrators. Obviously, he needs to strengthen up a little bit, because there's no use getting all the way to Sweden and running an absolute blockbuster in the heat and then not being able to back it up in the final. I spent the night on the couch in front of the television watching the Trots Vision coverage hosted by Ryan Phelan. Wall-to-wall coverage is what pays the bills. I understand how the wagering landscape works in Australia. But for these feature nights, there is definitely room for this specialised coverage featuring one or two meetings. I think the best part of the coverage was having Ryan bustling through the stables, saying hello to all of the trainers and drivers and staying on the move. It gave the coverage a really fast-paced feeling. Mick Guerin, like him or hate him, he adds to the coverage. He was great. Tim O'Connor was good in the parade ring. I haven't watched a lot of him in the media, but I thought he tried to make those interviews with the drivers a little bit offbeat, which is something that Jason Bonington did so well with the parade ring interviews previously. Bronte played her well professionally. So all in all, it was a good night's racing, well highlighted by the Melton team. Closer to home at Menangle, James Rattray was, well, he kept the ball rolling after what's been a great start to the year for him. Another double, Nyack and Tura Magic. I spoke with Jimmy last week on the show. I think he's now trained 5 winners in the last 3 Metro meetings at Menangle. Brian Portelli won 2 races with Smoltese and Captain Blood scoring, and Will Rixon brought up career winner 700 when Uncle Tony won the Waratah Final for trainer Anthony Frisbee. So, there's a lot to get through. Who's on the podcast? Well, Cam Hart. I spent a fair bit of time with Todd McCarthy when he hit his peak here in Australia. I travelled to Canada with him when he went as Shane Graham's travelling mate for the World Driving Championships in 2017, then Sweden when Todd went over to drive Maritime, and there are so many similarities between Todd and Cam, it isn't funny. You have a look at a number of the top drivers and they all have the same temperament. Nothing phases them, laid back, easygoing. If Cam Hart isn't the next Todd McCarthy, I'll give it away. And if Cam's future at some stage isn't in the USA, again, I'll give it away. But at the moment, he's winning everything in Australia. He's great with the media. Would have been a huge night after the victory, but he still turned up this morning for an interview. So great young bloke, great advertisement for the sport. Cam's going to join me really soon to have a chat about Swayzee. As always, I like to catch up with someone from the Menangle meeting. And this week, I will speak with Will Rixon after he drove his 700th career winner when Uncle Tony won the Waratah Final at Menangle on Saturday night. Plus, Mr. T will have a couple of tips at the end of the podcast. But first up, it's Cam Hart.
And it's Swayzee along the back straight, shaken up 4 metres in front of Tack McLeod, who'll be awaiting on the Garrard sprint lane. Leap to Fame and neck away third, but he's closing in now, the champ. Then in 4th spot is Don Hugo. Next, the inside Republican Party, and then Can't Find a Better Man. Off the back straight, it's Swayzee responding 3 metres. 2 Leap to Fame right there is Tack McLeod third. Don Hugo about to peel out 3 wide. Off the back, 27 for the third quarter. It's Swayzee just in front. Leap to Fame breathes down his neck. No. Leap to Fame loomed up to Swayzee. Tack McLeod gets the run. Then Don Hugo. It's Swayzee. Leap to Fame. Tack McLeod getting through with Republican Party. Swayzee kicks on. Leap to Fame lifting. Swayzee and Leap to Fame. And Swayzee does it. What a race. What a race. Swayzee, what a win.
2 New Zealand Cups, a Victoria Cup, a Black's a Fake, and now you can add a Hunter Cup to the list. Swayzee He is a superstar stayer, and the combination with Jason Grimson and Cam Hart, it is a combination that once it becomes a staying test, you just can't beat. Cam Hart is the man that does the driving of the horse, and he's joining me to have a chat. Congratulations, Cam. Well done on a huge win last night.
Yeah, thanks, Greg. Thanks for having me on. It was definitely a big thrill, and sort of was shaping up to be, a race that we probably haven't seen for a while, with the depth of the field and whatnot, and definitely think it lived up to expectations for everyone. It
was interesting listening to Jace after the race. He was interviewed and he said, look, I basically, when Cam went to Tamworth, I said, if you don't knock him about, we'll go to Melton and we'll have a crack at the Hunter Cup. So he basically left it in your hands when you took him to Tamworth not to knock him around too much.
Yeah, he did for sure, and it's probably a lot of pressure on me to get the job done at Tamworth and not stuff it up and go too slow with him. But we're lucky enough to sort of get the job done there and got away with a reasonably easy run for him. And it was really exciting then to get him here in Melbourne. We probably didn't have to come, but when we knew the field was going to be as good as it was, we definitely wanted to be part of it and show how good he was.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing with Jace, isn't it? It's like if the race is on, all the big stars are there. Let's be part of it. Let's make sure we're part of the big dance. Now, take us through the early part of the race, because Grant got off the inside a lot quicker than a lot of people thought. Did you realise that he was off the inside so quickly?
Yeah, I did. After 20 or 30 metres, I could just see Puppet sort of grabbing for the trail, and I could see a big gap opening, and I thought I'd got to stay hard on Luke's helmet and at least try and stay in front of him. I knew it was, he was always going to get off with the big gap there, and definitely thought it was going to make it pretty hard. I was hoping that he'd be a few more pairs back when he did get off the fence, but lucky enough I could stay at least in front of him, and thought I'd give myself every hope to be able to beat him still.
And then what about your plan? Once you got around to the front, did you have a plan in your mind? I'm going to do this. I'm going to wait until he gets outside me and then run him, or what was in your mind pre-race about how you were going to drive if you did find the top?
Yeah, pretty much. Once I knew, once Grant was ready to move and get outside me, I thought I've just got to keep the tempo strong and make him chase me and try and sort of work him over and take a bit of sting out of him, which is it's not an easy job. He's honestly an unbelievable horse. He went huge last night to be able to sit outside me and still be there at the finish. But I sort of said to Jace, being 2,700, I think we try and beat Larry, and if something sort of gets us late with a soft run, then so be it. We sort of couldn't afford to be going any slower and let him into the race.
And you were chasing Swayzee along inside that last lap. What were you thinking? Did you think you were a sitting shot for something?
I was a little bit nervous. Answer's horse was up, sort of hitting my helmet at the 400, and I could tell he was still going okay. He wasn't gapping out, and obviously knew Carter's horse was going to be a danger with doing no work and sitting 3 rails. So I was just hoping that the sectionals that we went, when they got clear air, they didn't really have too much more to give, and it was probably the case in the end. They definitely come at me and run great races, but it definitely probably took the sting out of them. The way they were travelling, I thought I could be in a little bit of trouble, but once they got clear air, they probably more just worked home than to show too much turn of foot off those hot speeds.
It's a fine line for you, isn't it? Because you've got to take enough petrol out of the horses behind you without taking enough out of your tank that you don't leave yourself empty for the home straight.
Yeah, definitely, Greg. And that's sort of what I said in the lead up in a couple of interviews, that it's going to come down to me able to probably to rate him perfectly, which isn't an easy job. But, I hope, I got it right. And, I was just able to hold everything off and make Grant work a little bit, just too much to be able to get the job done.
So he becomes one of the history's great stayers. Obviously, Leap to Fame was brilliant in defeat, and swap barriers, swap runs. We might have had a different result, but in terms of Swayzee's record, he is an unbelievable stayer. Straight away after the race, watching the coverages of Racing.com and Sky, everyone's talking Miracle Miles. Would Jason look to drop him back and try and get him into a Miracle Mile qualifier?
I don't think so, Greg. It's I wouldn't say he couldn't win a Miracle Mile, but it's probably not really in his wheelhouse. He is great over the longer distance, but he's got so many other targets. We've obviously got 2 more Carnival Cups to go, which is very exciting for us to try and get that bonus. And then obviously he's been partnered up with Tab Touch for the Nullarbor, which is I think April. So we've got plenty of big targets, and I think he can't go in everything. I'd say he'll be missing the Miracle Mile at this stage.
So in terms of the Carnival of Cup bonus, he turns up at Albury and fingers crossed everything goes right there, the 500,000, and then he turns up at Penrith and gets the $1 million. And you mentioned going across for the big race over in WA. That was a nice addition as well to be the first horse into that race. Yeah,
definitely, Greg. It's exciting times ahead, and we've been super excited to be able to sort of show him off throughout, this Carnival Cups bonus scheme sort of thing. And, everyone's been really happy to see him out in the country tracks. And obviously that's our main target next. But it was also very exciting to see that Tab Touch and Jace have got another deal done this year for the Nullarbor, and to take a horse like him over to Perth, it's definitely a big thrill. It's, it's a different style of racing over there, but it's great to be able to go over and take on their best.
I know Dexter Dunn had a very special relationship with Chris and me, ended up claiming him over there in the US. Is there a special bond forming between you and Swayzee?
Yeah, there definitely is, Greg. He is an unbelievable horse, but he's just such a nice horse to get along with. He's a beautiful horse. Just anything I need him to do, he'll do for me. And his will to win is just unbelievable. It really makes me speechless, the way he just never wants to get beaten. Yeah, it's definitely a special bond building. And, even with any horse that I drive, whether it's, Swayzee or a horse that I race most weeks at Penrith, it's definitely something that I take pride in to try and get along with the horses the best I can. And, I definitely think it helps the results on the track.
And I saw you interviewed after the race. You said that it was probably goes up as one of the biggest wins that you've had with him last night, just because of the depth of the field, I think, and the way that he was able to fight them all off at the end.
Yeah, I believe so, for sure, Greg. It was just a huge thrill. It's hard to put into words how I felt after it, but it wasn't so much a money thing with this race. I guess it was just that we wanted to take on the best, and it's probably the hardest field that he took on to date, and to get the job done, it was very pleasing.
Mate, that wasn't that wasn't just it for you on the night. Artie's Express as well for Grimo. Good to see her get another big one in the Ladyship Cup. She did a great job.
Yeah, that was a super pleasing win, Greg. It was nice to get a nice race with her. She's been very consistent, since I've been sitting behind her, and probably just missed a couple of the bigger races, but always been thereabouts. But she was definitely back to her best, and I thought her first up run at Menangle was great, and thought she'd be spot on. And Jace had her there. She was as good as she's been for a long time, and it was a really pleasing win to get with her. And
the time was good. The track must have been on fire last night, but gee, the time 150.5 last night from the draw. It was a stunning victory. Yeah, for sure. She had to earn it. She obviously stayed out of the early burn, but she still had to loop the field and tough it out that last 800 metres. And she was super sharp, and to put up a nice mile like that at Melton isn't easy from, gate 7 over the mile. So, super pleasing effort. And, hopefully, we'll have her back around the Queen Elizabeth time in Sydney, and try and go back-to-back in that race. And what about He's a Sweetie in the first? You drove the first winner for Isabel Welsh. That was a nice way to start the night. Yeah, it really was. He was a real dude to drive. He gave me no issues, and I really think he's a horse that'll go through the grades. He was very gritty. They put up a nice time for the middle distance, and he also showed a nice turn of foot when I asked him at the 300. So he's definitely got, some nice attributes there, and he definitely feels like a horse that's going to do a great job for the connection. Mate, it's great to see. Look, harness racing, sometimes it can get a bad name. We can get into our big races, and we can get races, Ballfest, but you think of last night, you can think of the Inter-Dominion, fantastic races, plenty of entertainment, and great, exciting results. And I think that's what we like to see, harness racing at its top shelf, and the big stars putting up when it really counts. Yeah, definitely, Greg, for sure. It was definitely a buzz at the track, and
Melton probably isn't known for their massive crowds, I guess, on some of the nights that I've been down there, but it was a huge crowd and great atmosphere there. And yeah, definitely everyone seemed to be very pumped about, the racing last night, and even the Great Southern Star was a great spectacle. The finish was exciting there too. So yeah, hopefully we can just keep getting these, good Kiwi horses over and make these good jewels on the track. And yeah, I'm sure it'll get everyone excited about harness racing for sure.
Do you get a break, or I guess you've got driving commitments? There's no rest for you after winning last night?
No, it's business as usual. Got, I think, a couple of days off. I'll be back at headquarters at Menangle on Tuesday. So, not much changes. It's, a little bit of a quiet period over Christmas with family and things like that, but we're back in full swing now. So we'll push on to the new year again.
And what about the Carnival of Miracles in terms of sprint horses, Miracle Mile qualifiers? Have you got anything lined up?
No, not at this stage. Hopefully something comes along and I can jump behind a couple of nice ones. But at this stage, I haven't really got anything locked in. But, it's not probably always the worst thing. We'll just see what turns up there, and hopefully someone needs my services.
Mate, I'm sure there'll be plenty of people banging down the door. Congratulations on last night. Well done. I would suggest it would have been a big party last night, so thanks for turning up this morning, and congratulations to you and Grimo. Well done.
No problem. Thanks, Greg.
Will I Am trying to stay on his happy reg, but he looks to be one of the first horses under pressure. And now getting to the outside is Uncle Tony, and Borrowed Time warms up at the 200 metres. Uncle Tony hit the front from Will I Am. Happy Reg is still whacking away. Borrowed Time's not wearing it back quick enough. Ignite the Fire very late. It's Uncle Tony, 50 metres left to go. A horse on the up. Uncle Tony beats in second spot Borrowed Time, and I reckon Happy Reg might have just held on to third from Ignite the Fire.
Well, young Will Rixon brought up a big milestone at Club Menangle on Saturday night with the win of Uncle Tony. Young Will now has 700 career winners. 700 career winners for Will Rixon, and that is a very good milestone for him, and he's joining me to have a chat. Congratulations, Will. Well done.
Thanks, Hazy. Yeah, it's always good to come up with good numbers like that.
Yeah, mate, it's been a good good period for you. Good 18 months. You're really having a good run at the moment.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, it's been really good. I've been obviously get on some really nice horses for a lot of great trainers. So yeah, that's all the difference.
I think too, it always helps when there's plenty of winners coming out of the home barn, and I think that's probably been a big help as well.
Oh, for sure. Like, I love driving winners for anyone. Like, I love what I do. But yeah, for some reason, when you can get one for mum and dad, it just probably makes it that even better feeling. And yeah, obviously, just knowing how hard they work and how much time they put into their horses, it's really rewarding when we can get good results.
Mate, we might run through last night. Uncle Tony was the horse that you brought up win number 700 for you, driving one for Anthony Frisbee in the Waratah Final, so a $25,000 race not to be sneezed at. You got a nice run in transit there in behind the leader. Yeah,
no, it worked out good. He sort of felt winner the whole way. Did no work early and wobbed probably the run of the race behind leader. So he had the riding on the wall his last start in the heat where he finished a really good second. So I was actually quite confident going into the race, and it had turned out good.
What about at the top of the straight when you were able to push into the clear? Did you think you were the winner?
Yeah, I did. He travelled really well before easing him out, and obviously not first time driving the horse, so I wasn't sure maybe if he hit the front. I knew he was going to hit the front pretty soon, so I wasn't sure maybe if he'd get start waiting for him first time at Menangle that long straight, but he kept his line on the job and held him off really nice. So, yeah, that was good.
Driving one for Anthony Frisbee, who had one in the race. Anthony would have been pretty happy with that result.
Yeah, for sure. They're great trainers, as we all know, and do such a great job. They've always got a really nice horse in the barn, and they're good family friends of ours. So, yeah, to get a winner for Anthony and Chris and the families,
Mate, you went around in the feature race, the J.E. Binskin free-for-all. You were driving Was a Heat Seeker, who was the second favourite in the race. You lobbed into a really nice spot into the 1-1, and it looked as though it was going to be perfect. But then, unfortunately for you, Tay-Tay didn't take you as far as you wanted to go.
Yeah, I was hoping, obviously, down the front last start and off Nyack, so I was hoping that Nyack might have been happy to take a spin on him again, but obviously the horse was racing really well, so he held the front. And yeah, I was in two minds to leave Tay-Tay out there or not, but it's just hard to obviously park out in good miles, so I let her go sort of. Obviously Tay-Tay's a really good mare, but I wasn't sure whether she'd be the right one to take into the straight, which happened. But yeah, I don't know, he hasn't really raced much from cover before, and it just when he got out in the clear, it was like he felt a little bit lost for me. So I'll have a chat to AC and might even change a bit of headgear on him, but I'm sure he will run an improved race going forward.
He's only had the 4 starts at Menangle. Is he still learning the caper on the big track?
I think so. All his best wins have been, driven really aggressively, and I haven't driven him from behind before. And his runs in Queensland, he never really was either. So that was something probably a little different for him, but he's going to have to get used to it at that top grade that he's in, and he's definitely a really nice horse. And, it's very hard to make a run before you're straight here at Menangle, when they run 49 miles. So, I'm sure he'll bounce back.
And in regards to plans that Akey would be having, would he be looking at Miracle Mile qualifiers for that horse?
Yeah, that was always the plan with him. He sort of pinpointed Newcastle, thought that would suit him, the 1,000-metre track up there. So I'm sure that would still be the plan. Obviously, he didn't hit the line as well as we'd like, but it still wasn't a bad run. So I'd say that would still be the plan for him at this stage.
All right, couple of the other runners you drove last night. You drove Super Service for your dad in the trot. Went a bit rough early and finished down the track, but we know Super Service is better than that.
Yeah, bit of a frustrating horse. He's obviously got the ability, but he was first up for a long time last night, and he was just too fresh. He was full of himself in the warm-up and scoring up, which is why he made a bit of a mistake. But yeah, hopefully change a little bit more gear on him and try and settle him down a bit next week, and they can improve.
And is he the sort of horse that takes that 1 or 2 runs before you see the best of him? I
think so. He's just one of them horses that seems to be a little hard to get right. I think it's more, in his head, he can just get a little bit too fierce at times. So the run's definitely not going to hurt him, and hopefully he can just bounce back.
Okay. What did you make of Montalbano? You drove it in race 1 for Chris Judd with the stable change.
Yeah, I thought it wasn't too bad. It was a race wasn't really run to suit with obviously single foal for a long period, and he'll improve. 2,300 is probably not his distance either. So Chris has only had him for a couple of weeks, and does a really great job. So I'm sure he'll get him going good, and he'll be competitive going forward.
Mate, those 2,300 metres, they can be tricky if you draw awkwardly, and because a lot of the races do go into a single file, don't they?
Yeah, the tricky races for driving, Greg. They can be frustrating because you can be in the race and be a mile from home and know that no chance of winning it, which is it can be frustrating as a driver, but it takes a little bit to get used to that racing. And it's very important. The first 200 metres of a race over 2,300, it can be win or lose. So, it can be tricky.
Mate, what about you? Doing plenty of travelling at the moment to do a lot of driving? Yeah,
had a really busy week this week, sort of going everywhere to drive, and luckily to get some good results. And I'm happy to do it. Like, there's obviously a lot of good trainers out there that are happy to put me on nice horses, and if they happy enough to put me on, I'm going to work as hard as I can to get everywhere I can and try and keep getting, good numbers. So, I'm really happy with how things are going.
And basically that's the way it's going to be for the long term. You're happy to, if a trainer gets in contact with you and wants you to go somewhere, and the horses is worth going for, you're happy to go.
Yeah, for sure. As I said earlier, I really enjoy what I do. I'm quite fortunate to be in a position I am to, go go to the races and not really see it as work, as I really enjoy it. And as long as people are happy enough to keep things going and keep putting me on, I'm happy to go.
Mate, when you were growing up, was there any other question that you would be involved? You would do something else when you left school, or were you always going to be involved with the horses?
Yeah, it's always what I wanted to do, Greg, for sure. Obviously, Mum and Dad were both very good drivers, and the whole Turnbull clan, and it's always just had the bug from a really early age, and loved the mini trotters. And obviously, I was quite young when Divisive was around, but still remembering racing and then big races, and it's hard not to get the bug when you have a horse compete at the top level like Mum and Dad did and do win the races he did. And as I said, I've just always loved it, so that was never going to be anything else, I don't think.
But Dad had the trade, so was there any pressure to do something else rather than the full-time driving?
Oh, not so much pressure, but I went to a private school, and to leave when I was there, you had to have, to leave in year 10, you had to have something behind you, and harness racing wouldn't have really been allowed. So I actually did leave the first year of school to go and be an apprentice to Dad for a year. And it didn't really, obviously, as I left school, I just got my license to drive in races. So that's all I really want to do, and I didn't really concentrate very well on the building side. I was too busy looking at fields and noms, so that didn't really work out. And I'm glad it did, because I'd say our relationship with Dad wouldn't quite be the same if I continue to work for him on the building site.
Mate, it's good to see you going so well. 700 winners, great feat, and a couple of years' time, that 1,000 won't be too far away. Congratulations, all the best of luck. You're working hard and you're getting great results. Well done.
Thanks, Hazy. Appreciate that.
Winner, winner, chicken dinner.
Winning. Hey, that's pretty good.
Winner!
That was legitness.
That I say, all right. Wow, winning.
Bam! Just like that. That's all there is to it, Dustin. That's all there is to it. A winner! Just like that.
I'm the winner is...
Well, Mr. T and I both had a winner this week, but both failed to show a profit, so that's not much fun. The updated leaderboard, Mr. T is minus $38.60, so he lost $3 for the week, so got a $1.70 winner, and I'm positive $16, so I lost $5 for the week, so I had a $1.50 winner during the week. So let's see if we can get back into the positives. Mr. T, he's going to Parks on Wednesday. Race 2, number 4, Tearing Up the Sand for Jet and Nathan Turnbull. Won at Junee when it led last start. It was the first win for a while, but Mr. T thinks it might be best to strike while the iron is hot. So Tearing Up the Sand in race 2. And then go race 5, number 7, Burrabadine Bullet for Justin Reynolds and John Liu. Another one that won last start. It led throughout at Parks, draws the inside of the second row. So it's going to need a bit of luck from the draw, but Mr. T says an ounce of luck and it can go back-to-back. Race 5, number 7, Burrabadine Bullet. My 2, I'm going to go at Goulburn today. I know it doesn't give those listening to the podcast on Monday and Tuesday any chance to follow, but you can check the results anyway. My 2 at Goulburn on Sunday, race 4, number 9, Skyfall Benchmark. Now, this one is trained by Steve O'Donoghue. It had 2 years off, placed first up, and then it's won 3 in a row. Now, it's impeccably bred. It's out of a mare called Freedom Dancer, and Freedom Dancer's mother is Perfect Profile. Now, why does that sound familiar? Because Perfect Profile is the mother of the Great Art Major. Great bloodlines don't make a great horse, but this horse has been in great form recently and has been winning from different positions, so should be hard to beat later today. That's race 4, number 9, Skyfall Benchmark, and race 5, number 10, Reset the Bar for Brad Hewitt in the Tom and Angela Hewitt Memorial. Has to come back from the disappointment of being beaten last night. Brad does in the big one, the Great Southern Star, but on face value, Reset the Bar was disappointing last start when it led and was run over at Menangle. The long trip at Goulburn can be a tough trip, and there are a few here that will want to get forward. So I'm looking for a run-on horse in the race, and I think that'll be Reset the Bar. So race 5, number 10, Reset the Bar at Goulburn on Sunday afternoon. Don't forget, Fantasy harness racing, great start to week one. We've still got a meeting or two to go. Most of the big guns have had nice starts. James Herbertson, Cam Hart, Wayne Hill, Pete McMullen, all handy weeks. Don't forget, lockout now happens on a Thursday. So good luck if you're playing this year. I ended up going with Herbie as my captain week one, which was okay. I'm happy with that. Thanks to Cam Hart. Thanks to Will Rixon for joining me this week on the Sunday session. I'll be back next Sunday for another edition. Hope to catch you again then. Have a great week, but it's bye for now.